Welcome to today's episode of Between the Now and the Next podcast. I'm your host, Heather N. Justice. Today's guest is someone whose story is equal parts powerful and deeply personal. Jackson TerKeurst is an entrepreneur, a leader, and a first-generation immigrant from West Africa who's built a life that continues to defy the odds. He runs and owns a small business, lives just outside of Nashville with his wife and 2 kids, and is passionate about bringing people together across cultures and backgrounds to experience real, meaningful community. Oh, and if that last name sounds familiar, yes, he is the adopted son of best-selling author and speaker Lisa TerKeurst. But Jackson's blazing his own trail. He's sharing powerful stories about identity, redemption, and what it really means to belong. His new book, The Only Way Forward is Back, is out now. And y'all, it is one of the most honest, raw, and hope-filled things I've read in a long time. It's full of the kind of wisdom that only comes from walking through the fire and coming out more whole on the other side. I'm so excited for you all to hear this candid and heartwarming conversation about the wild beauty of trusting God in the in-between with Jackson TerKeurst. Jackson, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you so much for having me.
So excited to talk to you about your book. So first off, let's talk about the book for a minute here. That cover, whoa, that's awesome. Love it. It turned out so good.
It did really well. It's so good.
Yes. And congrats on this first book. I just have to know, I saw the post on your Instagram when you opened it. How does that feel?
Oh my goodness. It felt so great. It felt so freaking great. I mean, I was 15 years old and I told myself that I was going to write my testimony. I was going to write my story one day. And I stuck to it because I knew how powerful this story was. So I just stayed consistent with it, and I kept knocking on doors. Some doors open, some doors shut, but I stayed consistent at it because I know how powerful this story is, and it can help so many people. So I'm excited to be here today to share that with you.
Absolutely. I can relate. I published my first book. I self-published in November last year. And
congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. But that feeling, when I watched your video on Instagram, I was like, oh, I know that feeling. And it's so much passion and hard work and commitment and time and dedication. So much went into that. And when you get to hold it in your hands for the first time, it's just so surreal.
It's so surreal. And it feels so incredibly awesome that, my gosh, I was just excited. The excitement in me couldn't come out anymore. I was just so happy. I had tears in my eyes after the video. I'm just so incredibly blessed to have something like that working for so long. And now finally it's here. You know, the dream come true for sure for me. Absolutely is.
I read through your book in a day and a half. It was so well written that I was like, I just can't put it down. I just have to keep reading it. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to hear, what's the ending of this story going to be? What is going to come out of this? And with all the twists and turns that happened and the phone calls you received that you were blown away by receiving, I don't want to give away too much of the book because I want people to go get it. I want people to read it.
There's so much excitement.
Yes. And the twists and the turns and seeing what's coming next and, basically, what amazing thing is God about to do? Reading through how you were born and raised in Liberia during this war and everything that you experienced was so traumatic. The descriptions of things you put in there, it made my stomach turn. It was heartbreaking for me to read that. And as you stated so many different times, just about when you came to America, how different the culture and things were here and the excess of stuff that we have. And your story about KFC, man, I was cracking up laughing. That was so funny. But the heartbreaking things that children had to experience was devastating to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's very devastating. Coming from where I come from, life is really rough. And just being in an orphanage at that age, in that time of my life, It was very difficult. It was very, very hard. For example, I was running for my life constantly and
Yeah.
at the same time starving, no parents, no mom and dad around.
Yeah.
And I am just this 7-year-old boy by myself in this world with no family and trying to navigate my way around everything that's happening around me. It was a lot
Yeah.
to take in and so much pain, but I became so numb to the pain over time. But still, and it still hurt regardless. If I became numb to it, it still hurt. And yeah, I dealt with that for so many years.
From the very beginning, you were talking about your reliance on God, even at that young age. And I'm curious to hear about that piece of it. How did you have a relationship with the Lord growing up in those conditions? How was the Lord introduced to you? What do you remember about that time in your life when it comes to knowing Jesus?
Yeah, that's a very powerful question. I'm gonna tell you a story. Growing up in my village, we don't have transportations. We don't have cars. We don't have no transportation. Period. So we walk everywhere we go to. So my father's village was about 5 to 7 miles from a church location, but it was not a church. It's not the church you see in America. It's something like, you cut up some trees, some branches, and put a roof on top of it, build a bench from the trees, you know,
Yeah.
very local stuff. And I remember one time my dad just got me dressed and I was like, where we going? He's like, oh, just come with me. And we went to this place and we sat down in this meeting, like a meeting style. People singing, dancing, and praying. And I was confused. I was a kid. I had no idea what was happening. But then when I went home, he told me, he's like, yeah, we just went to church. I said, what is church? He's like, oh, we believers in God go to church on Sundays and worship God, spend time with our other Christian brothers and sisters, and learn more about God. And that's the first time I learned about God. That's the first time I learned about Jesus
Wow.
because it took me from our village. We walked 5 miles to that church. It was very far. And that's the first time in my life I heard about Jesus, heard about the gospel, heard about God. And then we went back home and I kept thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it. Because in my village, we are very tribal people. We don't really have a Catholic church, a big Christian church, or big Muslim church. It's all tribal and native stuff. And I was so blessed that he had introduced me to God. And because of that introduction, I was able to learn more about God because we went every Sunday now. We went every Sunday because I was so excited. I have friends there. I was like, oh, this is my friend. This is my friend, my friend. So we got there and my friends are there. And we just playing, learning about God, Bible school, learning scriptures, things like that. And that's how I learned about God. That's at a very young
Wow.
age and walking out far with my dad.
That's such a good memory for you. I'm
Never forget that memory. It's incredible to me.
and that kind of takes me to at the end of each of your sections, you state, I am the grandson of a witch doctor. You state what your different identities are, I guess. And I thought that was so cool because as the book progresses, you're learning more and more about who you are.
Yes.
And there was one part in there when you got to America and you had won an award in high school, got to one place where you had talked about those different things that describe your identity. And I was like cheering for you because one of the things you wrote in there, I was like, yes, Jackson, yes. I was so excited for you
Thank
because
you.
it's so neat when you get to see these things that God's revealing to you. This is who you are. This is who you're becoming. And it's so neat to see our lives evolve in that way when we're in close relationship with Him.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, all those things were life changing because I grew up not knowing who I was. And all I knew was I was Kim from the village boy. But as all these things happened in life to me, I was learning more things about myself and who I am, who I was called to be. From the first orphanage to the second orphanage, to the third orphanage, to the fourth orphanage, different
Yeah.
orphanages, learning different things about myself from starving with no name and having to find a name, all those things play into building this Jackson that you see today. It took a lot of work to come from that to being here. And that's why I'm just so happy to be here today to share my testimony and just encouragement to everybody. No matter where you come from, how far you've been, there is still hope and healing regardless.
Absolutely. So, something else I love that you wrote is you said, He equipped us before He called us. And when you were about to go off to college, you said you realized that you weren't actually fearful of going to college, but it was the weight of God's call on your life.
Yes.
I want to hear more about that. And then also, what advice you would give to someone who feels intimidated by their calling.
I was intimidated because going to college, I mean, I was not the smartest kid. I could read, I could write partially a little bit, but I did not understand having a calling on your life. I didn't know what that meant. I had no idea. And I always thought that people who have careers or have dreams or other things were special people. They were made special and they had special things about them. So God wanted to bless them, for special things to have. And I didn't feel I was special. I didn't feel like I deserved anything. I'm a village boy, for crying out loud. And most especially coming to a different country like America and having to adapt and learn the culture of this country. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. I
And
can't imagine.
yeah, it really is a lot. There's no joke about it. It's really is a lot. Yep. I had to train myself literally from the African mindset to transition to American mindset to be able to function. God had a calling in my life, and I didn't understand it at that time. But all I knew for sure was that I wanted to um, continue my education for sure, because my biological father always preached to all of us kids that school education is the key, you know. And I
Yeah.
took that serious. Despite of my grade point average being so low, I still pushed myself and but I didn't know what I was called to do until later in college. I figured out that, hey, you know what? Pastor Kofi, who ran this orphanage that I used to live at, reminded me and my friends that you guys are here in America as missionaries. You are here in this country as missionaries to share your testimony, to share the story God has given you, to raise awareness and sponsorship for your friends back in the orphanage home. And when I understand that in my heart and in my head, I sort of realized that, oh wow, perhaps I have a purpose. Because prior to that, I had nothing I was going for. I was just waking up every morning, like everyday life, until one day it hit me that Pastor Kofi really do want me to be a missionary for my brothers and sisters in Liberia who has no voice and continue to share my testimony of surviving what was referred to as one of Africa's bloodiest civil war, to be in this country to share that with other people, to see how blessed they are. And after accomplishing college and other things, God just kept pressing in my heart. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget the story I've given you. Don't turn your back. And I just stopped. I stopped and thought about it and prayed about it, and then I started to knock on the right doors. Before you know it, I met a great friend, Kaylee, who makes come to life. And my encouragement would be that if you're in a season where you have no idea what God wants you to do and where God wants you to go, I would say just keep doing the work. Keep working on yourself. That's all you can do. You don't have to have the answers in your palm right now to know the complete answer. Work on your heart, work on serving other people, work on loving other people, work on giving, work on developing yourself, and work on being in a community where people can pour into you and you can learn from these people and have a better accountability to help you reach these goals that you want to do. And this is something I did to be where I'm at today.
That's awesome. That is so good. First of all, like you had a ton of stuff to overcome,
Right.
coming to a country, having to learn the culture, like you said, shifting to an American mindset. That's a whole thing in itself. You talk about the independence of Americans in the book and how you're very tribal mindset and all of that in Liberia, and everybody relies on their tribe and lifting each other up and holding each other's arms up when you're tired. And that is not really how Americans are. Americans are very independent, don't ask for help. I can do this by myself. I don't need anybody else. And it takes a lot to overcome that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a lot.
Yeah. And so you had a lot to sort through and to acclimate to in the States. So this would be hard for anybody, but coming out of high school, who really knows what they want to do for the rest of their life?
I did not realize that was a thing in America that prior to graduating, you have to know where you're going to college and your roommates, your this, your that. I had no clue. I didn't even know that I had to apply for college until my mom told me I had to apply for college. Because in Liberia, what happens is, we would school for about 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and then a war breaks out, and then everybody just dispersed. So to where I had guys in my class and girls who were like 14, 15, 16, even 20 years old in my class as a kid because of the war. I didn't have any plans of wanting um, to do anything different. I was thinking about survival most of the time. Survival, thinking about food, thinking about survival, thinking about food,
Yeah.
not career, not what's next in life. That's how I was raised. That's the environment I came from, you know. Whereas in environment America, you have so much resources around you since you were born. From you have books and everything else. Our teachers used to write on the chalkboard behind us, and we had to write everything down by hand, pen and paper, pencil. And that's how it was for us. Then coming to America, having to adapt to this new system, it was challenging, and I felt intimidated that I was not smart enough for the American school system, and I wasn't smart to be in any good classes, or smart enough to have this kind of job, or smart enough to go to college. Because to me, college was for smart people.
I think that's so difficult for any kid. I mean, you're coming out of high school and you're 17, 18 years old. And really, how can anybody know what they want to do for the rest of their lives? Because I switched my major so many times and it's crazy to think about that to me. But I feel like that whole part about you saying, you were really not afraid of going to college, but it was the weight of God's call on your life. And that hit very close to home for me because my book I wrote, it's a 90-day devotional on healing from emotional abuse. And literally a few months before I picked it back up to start writing again, I was telling my mom, I am more than just Heather the dog mom. I'm more than just Heather the research administrator. I was like, but what is it? God, what do you have for me? I felt like there's got to be more to life. And I've always felt like God was going to do something with my life, but I never was sure what, but my hands have always been open to receive it. And now it's so cool to see what he's unfolding in my life because I'm obeying him.
I went through the same season prior to me being where I'm at. I told my mentor I meant to do something great, but I'm not sure what it is. We had several conversations, and he was like, "Just keep praying, keep talking to God about it."
Mm-hmm.
And I kept doing that, but at the same time, I was so afraid of taking the huge step, the big step, taking the risk.
Mm-hmm.
We all like to be comfortable, but want the nice things and want to accomplish things, but not put a working for it.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I was. But then I was like, you know what? Every time I told somebody my story or where I was from, they were immediately impacted by it. And I told myself, I was like, listen, I have to do this. God keep reminding me every time I talk to somebody. I keep running from him. I keep running. I don't want to do this. I don't want to share my story. I want to create a new version of Jackson. I don't want to be an orphan. I don't want to be adopted. I don't want no one knowing that stuff about me. I want to be a different Jackson, a
Yep.
different Jackson. But he kept saying, no, son. No, son. This is a story I've given you. No matter where you go, what you talked about, your accent gonna come out. People gonna ask you where you're from. You're
Right.
gonna explain where you come from.
Right. Exactly.
I obeyed him, and I just put in the work and listen and seek the right counsel. But sometimes we have to be still and know. It gave us a grace. Yeah, be graceful to yourself as well in this process.
A lot of grace. So in your book, you write this letter to the American reader. And you talk about friendship and community. It's such a timely message. I think that you should create a workshop or a course on those Liberian lessons from that because I think me and a lot of other people could benefit from something like that. But why do you think as adults we struggle so much with belonging? And how can we work to build this strong, brave community again?
Well, that's a powerful question. I would say that to build a very strong community, we as individuals have to do the work. And
Hmm.
that is something that we have to want to be a part of. It's there, but we have to have the desire to want to be in a community where we want help and we want support and we want great friends and people to do life with.
Very true. Yeah.
Yes. So, and then once you do that work within yourself, other people can see that in you because my wife and I talked about how um, good vibes, always invite another good vibes. So if you have a good thing about you going, people can see that and God can see that. And you'll bring those people in your life into your path to keep going that route. And I also feel that most adults have a struggle of belonging because everyone's so busy. And that's from my personal experience. Everyone's so busy trying to do so much that it's so hard to really find friends and family to do life with.
Yes.
It's so
Yes.
difficult. You meet a lot of great people in your life that nice to meet you. You're so awesome. Yes. But then the follow up and put in
Mm.
the work, that's a hard thing. And people don't want to put in the work to create relationships. They want it to be handed to them. And you have to
Right.
work. You have to work for relationships, you
You
know?
do.
Yeah, you do. So you have to work for that and continue to head into the direction where others can see your healed self and also want to be a part of your life as well. You should lead them by
Yes.
example because in the process of a healing, always,
Hmm.
always, always. But people can tell that you are in a good place. So I would say
Yeah.
for adults that just seek community and seek help and get involved in your church and community. Those things helps a lot.
One of those lessons you were just talking about, like how we have to put in the work. The thing that I loved that you said here is that your community is your extended family, not just people you casually go have drinks with at the bar. If your relationships are all surface level, then you don't have true friendship. That is so true because how many people, like you said, oh man, you're so cool. It's so nice to meet you. We should go hang out. And then there's no follow up. Or you go have coffee and you're like, oh, what do you do? What does your husband do? How old are your kids? It's just all super
The
surface.
conversation, that's one thing I learned by American conversations and culture is that everything is all about your job. What do you do for work? It's not intentional questions. How you doing today, man? How you doing? How you
Yeah.
doing? How's your wife? How's your kids? How's your son's birthday? Was it a good birthday? Like me learning about you, Heather, like your family, your life, deeply knowing who you are as a person, not on the surface, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
this helps me create a better understanding of you. And when I ask you a question or talk to you about something, I'm coming from a place where I care for you. I'm just not
Hmm.
asking a question of like, oh, how was work? Cool. All right, nice, man. Good, good, good. Here's a drink for you, man. Welcome back. Very surfacey. We need to build stronger relationships, genuine, strong relationship with other people. Like
Yes.
it's like that's what we need in this country. America's a great country. I love America, but it's kind of hard to really um, come and just merge into other people's relationship. It's hard. You have to work your way into other people's relationship as well. That's something I noticed. So if there's a
Yeah.
friends group and you're trying to join this friends group, you have to work a lot to be in our friends group.
Yeah.
So it's not easy to join. Whereas in Liberia, I see you, I see another guy. I say, hey, what's up, man? What's up? Start talking about soccer or basketball. And next
Yeah.
thing you know is we're in the beach next week playing soccer, hanging out over here doing something. I'm calling
Yeah.
him, asking for advice, getting his input on something. All
Yeah.
those things make someone feel important and want to be involved in your group. You know,
Exactly.
someone always has something else to add value to that group. Don't never limit yourself to just you and your people. Always invite other people who don't look like you, sound like you, smell
Hmm.
like you, to come and be a part of your crew because that's what God did. That's what Jesus did.
Yes.
Jesus,
Yes. That's exactly what I was just about to say.
I love the story of Jesus when he came and he was hanging out with Zacchaeus, the tax collector, all these guys. My gosh, like that made me happy because he is
Yeah.
popular guy, like great, and he came to this world and he littered himself.
Hmm.
He did not go hang out with the rich guys, the popular people, but he came down to the lowest of the lowest. And that's how we all
Yes.
need to be for our brothers and sisters because you and I never know what someone's going through. They just want to be talked to.
Hmm.
They just want to be hugged and say, hey, you're doing a great job today. Great job. I'm proud of you. They just want to hear it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Yes. I had a conversation one time with this lady in the Goodwill. She was my cashier, and she was putting something in a crate that I had purchased. And I said, "Yeah, I don't need a bag. Just kind of stick it all in the crate, and that'll be good." And she's like, "Okay, I'll try to put it in here so it doesn't break." So she like puts it all in, and she's like, "Huh, look at that. I'm smart sometimes." And I saw her name tag, and I'm like, "Pat, I bet you're a lot smarter than you give yourself credit for." So by the time we were done, she goes, "I've just been thinking about what you said." And I said, "Yeah, what's that?" And she goes, "Just how you said I'm probably smarter than I give myself credit for." It's just hard to believe that when all I've been is in relationships with men who just tear me down.
Yeah.
And
Not men, it's our boys, not men.
yes, that's right. That's right. And I said, "I'm so sorry that that was your experience. What brings you joy?" And she goes, "Well, I used to love to cook, but I don't anymore because I'm afraid I'll do it wrong."
Oh my goodness.
And I said, "Oh no, Pat, I bet you cook up something so delicious and flavorful. I want you to go home tonight and I want you to cook a meal that you used to love to cook.
Yes.
And I want you to remember how much you love doing this and how much joy it brought you."
Yes.
And she was like, "Thank you so much. You need to come here more often."
Yes, please go see her more often. Awesome.
And I actually wrote about that situation in my book.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how powerful is this that I just got to meet her? I got to speak love into her life.
And life into her life as well. Speak
Yes.
yes.
Yes. And just remind her of who she is and who she was and what lies the enemy is telling her.
Yeah. And that's exactly where the devil wants us to be. He wants us to
Yes.
be isolated. He wants us to feel less than, so he can
Yes.
take control over us. And that's what he has done to Miss Beautiful Pat. But because of what life has been thrown at her and the men
Mm.
of boys that's been coming in her life, has not set a good example of what a good godly man looks like for her. She haven't had that experience yet,
Mhm.
and I just really hope and pray that someone like Pat, who is feeling down or less than, just remember, like, you are highly favored and you're made in God's image. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I tell myself that I am made in God's image. I am handsome, man. I am 6'12", 7 foot tall. I don't care. You know,
That's right.
you know.
Yes.
Do not ever let anybody steal your happiness. Period.
Mhm.
No matter who it
Yes.
is, don't let them steal your happiness. Don't give them a piece of you, an ounce of you. I never allowed that. I never do that.
I learned that the hard way, but that is great advice for anybody
Yes.
to hear.
Yeah, that's so sweet of you. You did that for her. That reminds me of me whenever I'm out and about. I just love doing that. I just love doing that.
I do too. And just complimenting somebody with the smallest thing, like, "You have a really nice smile," or "I love your shirt," or something like that. Like, to hear that from a stranger, it can give such a boost of confidence,
It does. It does because everyone's so focused on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So focused on getting the task done that they can walk past another person, not even say hello.
Yes.
And when I first got here to America, I would say hi to everybody. I mean, hi, hello. I hug people, hang, like I was like, this guy's weird. You're so weird. What is weird? What is weird? What is weird? Like it'll be the
Yeah.
I was like, I hate that word. I don't like that word weird. I don't like that word at all because people used to call me weird because I was that way and I am that way to people. So they think, oh, Jackson's so weird. You don't understand the American culture. He's so African. I'm like, no, I am a son of God. God put us on
Mm-hmm.
this earth to love everybody, to hug
Yes.
everybody, and most importantly, to treat other people how I want to be treated.
Absolutely.
That's the fact.
That's so true. We talked a little bit about this already, but you talk about how telling your story, it weakens its power over you. And I'm just curious about when you felt the shift that the healing had begun to win.
I think the healing had begun whenever I started to have a lot of conversation with Amanda, my wife, about just what was going on in my life. I was very lost and confused, for a season in my life, and she was there for me, and she pointed me in the direction that I needed to go to get that support I needed, and that helped me to get in the process of telling my story because Like I said before, I knew how powerful my story is, and if I just kept it to myself, I wouldn't be doing it justice at all. And I thought that it's more powerful to share my story with everybody else than just with myself and close friends, right? Uh, because there are so many people out there, children, families who are lost and facing so much hardships, and needs to know that hope and healing are possible.
Yes.
And this is one of the reasons why I decided to seek counseling. I seek counseling for a while, and I have a life coach as well, and
Good for you.
I have a community in the church I go to. I got mentors in my life, older brothers and older sisters I call and talk to when I have issues in life or just have a conversation. Um, and so I took some of these steps, and then through the book, the process of writing the book itself and having to revisit some of those memories, it hurts so bad, it kills me. But I had to go back to face those pain so I can move forward. It was not easy. It's still not easy. I'm not done with it yet. I'm still processing. I'm still working through it. But I had to go back and face those traumatic experiences and pain to where I can be able to write that and share with other people because I believe that God gave us all stories, not just to carry, but to share,
Yes.
right? But to share. And if my story, my testimony can inspire anybody or help anybody to keep going, then I know for a fact that I am in the process of healing as well. And I'm doing something positive to help somebody else heal, right?
Yeah.
And that's hopefully
Yes.
healing is possible because I'm doing it and you can do it as well.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing I feel like needs to be said here is the more we share our story, right? Like you said, it loses its power over us. But then also, we're overcoming the enemy,
Yes.
right? By the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Yes.
So, we're sharing our story and how God redeemed us and our lives and our situation and how he turned this thing that we thought was horrible, which, yes, the trauma and everything that has been experienced and what we've gone through is terrible. But God wasn't finished with this yet. And you wrote that in here because if it's not good, then he's not done.
It's not done. It's not done.
So sharing that story and putting this out there for helping other people, but then also for it not to have this power over you.
Yes, that would not because I will not allow this to define my life. I will not allow it to hold me back. I will not allow it to keep me stagnant. I will not allow it to constantly play in my head over and over. I have to relive those painful moments. I have to let go of those things. I have to heal from that. And I cannot let my story have that power over me anymore because God, I am favored by him. And he has a whole entire different version of my life for like that he sees than I see. So this story has no power over me because I have written it and I'm in the process of healing and I am sharing with other people who are in the process of healing as well. And he's gonna use this story to glorify him and whatever he sees best fit. That's for him to use it, however he sees best fit. I'm just here, so he's just using me as a vessel to share this story that he has given me. That's it. I'm being obedient and letting him do his thing. That's it.
Yes. Yes. And you've done a beautiful job writing that story. This is also along the same lines. You wrote that though something may seem bad, there's always a good God behind it all. If it's not good, my experiences tell me that he's not finished with it yet. This reminds me of that song Joy in the Morning by Torrin Wells. And this was my fight song when I was going through deep depression and anxiety. And I would just sing this over and over and over as a reminder for me of God's goodness and his promise and his kindness. And because a lot of times it's like in the night is when that depression and that anxiety would hit me. And that's when we're alone. It's dark, we're isolated. And just hearing those words of there will be joy in the morning. And then that bridge where it's like, if it's not good, then he's not done. No, he's not done with me yet. I just would repeat that and repeat that and repeat that and eventually put me back into some peaceful state where I could go back to sleep. This thing that feels terrible, it feels bad right now, but there's more to our story, right? Is there any part of your story that you feel is left unfinished right now. Where are you now in waiting for the next thing?
Well, right now, obviously, God's not done with me yet. He is just getting started, just getting started.
Yes,
And He is helping me to walk in my purpose right now. And I
absolutely.
am so happy. I am so happy. I feel like a big old bag of sand just fell off my shoulder. You know,
Amazing.
I have some clear direction on what He wants me to do now with my life. And He's never done with us. He's not done with me. The day He's done with us is when we go up to see Him. But I feel like He's not done with me yet. This is just the beginning of so many incredible things that's about to happen. I don't know what it is, but I'm so excited that He's going to use this next chapters of my life to bring so much incredible things to me and my family, and to write our next chapter as well. I've been a daddy of twin kids, and yeah, I'm so excited. They're like the best kids. They're so precious.
So cute.
They are.
Oh my gosh.
They are.
They're adorable.
I tell Amanda, thank you every day for giving me two beautiful babies. Yeah. So my story is still being written. That's part of my story as well. Having a family of my own, and giving me a book and a story to tell. So two incredible
Yeah.
things happened in the same year. It just
That's
goes to show.
awesome.
It just goes to show us that when you stop and you listen to God, He can direct your path. You know.
Yes.
And
Preach, Jackson.
I was going through a hard time. I mean, we went through 7 years of infertility. We're gonna have children for 7 years.
Yeah.
That's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta lose faith and go the other way. Turn our faith and be, what? Forget God. I ain't got time for this. I'm gonna go do something different. But we kept the faith. We kept the faith. We kept praying. We kept asking for help from other people to pray for us. Our families were there for us. It was a season of life, but that was a chapter of my life that God was writing. And now He's writing another chapter right now with The Only Way Forward is Back, my book, and and also having two beautiful, amazing mocha chocolate babies.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Thank you very much. I mean, you read a little bit about my family dynamics coming up from Liberia. How the things were, with my family being cursed and my mom being
Yes.
cursed. And I came about, and then now I waited 7 years of struggle trying to find a family, a loving family. And it was hard. It was a hard fight. It was a hard fight. And 7 years, a lot of people would give up and leave their marriage and be like, what, I'm done with this. I can't do this no more. And I had people telling me to give up and be like, what,
Yeah.
man, just find somebody else, do something different. And I was like, that's not me. I'm not a quitter, and I love my
Yeah.
wife. I love Amanda. And God is going to use this story to bless other people, because there are thousands or even more people who are going through infertility, IVF, and don't want to even talk about it or bring it up because it's so uncomfortable and it hurts
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah.
It hurts a lot. It hurts. But that chapter of my life, it was so hard to where I feel that after we overcame that, we had to share with other people.
Yeah.
We had to share to other people. We had to let other people know that, hey, if we're going through this, we went through it as well. And this is what we did. We got support from family and friends. We prayed without any season. We just went at it, just pray.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
after God's heart. And it was not easy, but here we are on the other side of this, and we are blessed.
Yeah. Have you thought about 7 years of infertility? And 7 is the perfect number in the Bible in completeness.
Really?
Yes. Isn't that incredible?
That is so great. I didn't process that at all.
7 years. Yeah, 7 was the perfect number and the completion. And so He brought that after 7 years. It was the perfect time.
All His timing.
Wow.
And when we were in a rush on our humanly timing to get that happen, but He said, just wait.
Yes.
Wait. Just calm down.
Yes.
Work on yourself first. He wanted me to work on myself. Work on yourself as a person. Work on yourself. And me and Amanda both, we did the work ourselves. Like I said, we went to therapy, a lot of therapy sessions, in our
Hmm.
marriage, individually together, and the whole process of it all. He sees us and he knows us by name.
I love that too. When you look up at the sky and you see a bajillion stars and you're like, but he knows me. He knows everything about me.
Yeah, had a plan for my life, and finally, I'm here to share this message. And I just want everybody to embrace their own journey. I can't walk the journey for you. You can't walk mine, but you have to embrace yours in a way that's honoring to God, and that'll help to bring you the healing that you're looking for in this process.
And you made a point about something that adoptive parents can do for like foster children or adoptive children is parents need to face their own trauma
Yeah.
in order to help their children. But I would say that goes for everybody because you have done therapy. You and Amanda have both gone through this together and done couples therapy or individual therapy. You've addressed your own individual traumas or anything you both experienced. And now, like, look how beautiful of a life this is going to make for your kids because you're going to be able to help them with the tools you have gained from going through therapy and working on your healing.
Yeah. You are in charge of your own development.
I sobbed when I read the story. The moment on the soccer field in Liberia, your younger self and your present self, how they were celebrating together. It was just so beautiful. But the thing I want to end on here is I know that you talk about in the book when they meet on the soccer field, but what is something you would tell your younger self? Give us kind of like an overview. Give us an idea. Where would you be? What age would you be? And what would you tell your younger self?
I would be about 13 years old, and I would tell my younger self that, hey, man, listen, get involved more with church, get involved with other people, get to know other people in your community, get to know your friends and family, and also spend a lot of time with God. I did that, but I need to be more intentional. At that time, I need to be more intentional with it, and also trust God more. Even though I trusted God, I had to trust Him even more. Because living in an orphanage home, we had no food at times, we had no water at times, and sometimes we drink warm water for dinner. Most weeks at times, and just telling my younger self that, hey, man, trust God in this process. He's got a plan for your life. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on life. There's more life at the end of the tunnel for you, Jackson.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect. That's such a good note to end on. And I'm just so grateful that you took time out to have this conversation with me and to talk about your book that everybody's going to be able to purchase.
The only way forward is back. Let's go.
Yes. So you guys don't want to miss out on this book. You've got to get a copy, read it. I promise you won't be able to put it down. It's amazing. And Jackson, thank you so much for taking time to have this conversation with me, to share your heart and your testimony and your story and God's redemptive grace.
Yes, ma'am. Heather, you've been great. Thank you so much, Heather, for having me. I look forward to talking to you more by God's grace. And you've been really amazing. And I'm so glad you had me. And I wish you best of luck with it. And I will see you at the top.
I'll talk with you soon. I loved that conversation. Doesn't Jackson just feel like a friend right from the beginning? So we were not friends before recording this, but we for sure are friends now. I don't know about you, but I'm walking away from this episode with a deeper sense of hope, renewed appreciation for the waiting, and a reminder that even when life doesn't look like we expected, it's not wasted. Jackson's story is such a powerful example of what it means to hold on to identity, lean into community, and trust that God is always at work, even when we can't see the full picture yet. In the show notes, you can find the link to purchase Jackson's book, The Only Way Forward is Back, which is available now. You really don't want to miss out on reading his book. You can also find his Instagram handle in the show notes. So head on over to his socials and show him some love and thank him for being on today's episode. If this episode spoke to you, share it with a friend, leave a review, and be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss what's coming next. All of those actions really help podcasts like mine get out into the world and reach more listeners. Thank you so much for being here and listening. Until next time, keep living between the now and the next.